Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. It's I'm here to actually do the Q&As today. It's been I think a couple of weeks since I did them last, and I was meant to do a live last week, but I had some technical issues, so I'm answering the questions for people who were writing up the Q&A and the questions up on the post that I put up for the live. So I will eventually get around to successfully doing a live, but for now we'll just keep up with the Q&As this way. I've actually read through the questions and I've written some notes. I just feel I want to start today by just going through my notes, and then I'll go through the questions because I feel what I'm wanting to say, I just wanted a little bit of structure before I sort of started going into my predictions and my feelings on things. So I've just written them in point form and I'm going to read them because these were just my flow of thoughts that were coming through. And I think it was just easier for me to put it down, type it up, and so I can just read it so I can make sure that I don't miss anything. So let's just start with my brain dump of notes. The Strait of Hormuz, the Allies are not supporting the efforts. The bombing of Qatar and Saudi Arabia, the gas plants. So based on what happened in March, the reports, Iran launched some missile attacks with drones, and they basically did significant damage to the Ras Laffan industrial city in Qatar, the world's largest LNG export facility. And the last report that I'd read was it's actually going to take not months, but perhaps years to fix that up. And also they attacked Saudi Arabia as well. Now, in saying that, it's interesting that Australia is trying to phase out gas. Petrol prices have gone up because of this war in Iran. What's really interesting is I was listening to the radio the other day, and the announcer, I can't remember which radio station, the announcer said something very interesting. We had already bought our petrol, already paid for it. It was at the Bowser, ready for us to use. But the day that the war started, petrol prices went up. And the gentleman said I don't see how that could happen when we'd already bought and paid for our petrol, and petrol prices had gone up and risen basically immediately. There is Secretary Bessent from the Trump administration. He's the Treasury, the guy who does the Treasury, the Secretary of the Treasury. He basically said there's a lot of price gouging going on. London, the spot market's making a lot of money off this. And he was actually on Fox News talking about it. And he's basically saying that there's a difference between how much supply there is and what the administration is actually doing to head off all the things that London's and others are attempting to manipulate the prices and sabotage the Trump administration. There's misreporting going on, making out that Iran was not an imminent threat. People changing their what they had initially reported. They're making out that the Trump administration is losing this war. There's this power struggle happening and the power struggle that I see happening is actually between the globalists, which is the imperial British Empire and its Commonwealth countries, mainly what I see Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and European Union states as well. And Maduro being taken out of Venezuela. So Trump is really, and his administration are really clever. They're really playing 5D chess. They're working out strategies on trying to drain the finances of these industries. So Maduro being taken out of Venezuela was a huge hit on the money and drugs that were being laundered and the entire terror apparatus in the Americas. And if you see now that that's being deconstructed, and now Trump and his administration are starting to create an alliances with these countries. I think Ecuador is asking Trump to help to eradicate corruption and the cartels that are sort of taken hold of their country as well. Countries are wanting to negotiate with the US, and they're countries that were not part of these allied friendships before. And you can see America is trying to expand, being no longer the Gulf of Mexico, it's the Gulf of America. They're looking into buying Greenland and so forth. Obviously, Canada has become under Mark Carney, and there's that link with Mark Carney and the connection to Britain. I really do believe that Carney was put in place in government to basically, he's the perfect person, has the perfect temperament to roll out these policies on behalf of the British Empire. And I'm just going through my, and so Trump's really upset the apple cart, and he's wanting, the fact that he's wanting to build up his defenses in the Northern Hemisphere to protect. People are wanting to come under the umbrella of the new, the defense dome system that he's wanting to create, but they're not wanting to support Trump and his administration when it comes to Iran. And my gut feeling is like he's considering now pulling out of NATO. If you've read his recent statement, we don't need them. And what's the point of being part of something and having an allied friendship if you're not going to support us when we need you? And we don't need you, we can do it on our own. And he'd already written an executive order to actually pull them out of the World Health Organization. And now he's considering leaving NATO as well. So what I see is happening, there's a power struggle. Trump's upset the agenda, this globalist agenda, this attempted global elite takeover. And what they want to do now is they want to keep US in war with Iran. They want the US and Iran to become the new Ukraine and Russia. Deplete US of weaponry, of finances, make the administration very unpopular with the people by the raising of the prices, misreporting, making them look incompetent, like he's a warmonger. And so and while they keep us distracted, so all this reporting on Iran, quite frankly, Iran is finished. They don't have anything left. They've got, and I really do believe that the drones and that are going out and they're targeting the gas, the largest gas exporter in Qatar. And now these things are happening with, trying to, I believe that they are a distraction for the objective to roll out this agenda and the 2030 agenda, make everything under the Green New Deal. Australia, for example, doesn't need to fund it because they want to phase it out, and it's starting with phasing it out in brand new homes. I think they've written policy, or they're beginning to write policies that you can't install gas into brand new homes. It has to be electric. But what they're not telling you, if for example, existing homes, especially you're talking about an electrical grid, a network that was designed in the 1970s under a different system. So what's going to happen is they may, under the guise of being more cost effective, doing setting up solar panels, bringing in working on the electric grid, but what they're not saying is it's going to cost thousands of dollars for homeowners to convert their system, because their systems are designed, or older homes are designed under the 1970s model, and you can't just go and change it. The whole what do you call it, electrical network for the home will have to be fixed up. So rather than the government pay for this, they may force owners to do it. And this is what I see. So the distraction is keep the Trump administration in war, don't support them, make it look like Iran is an innocent victim, that America is losing. It's going to be something almost like a Vietnam, where it was kind of like a never-ending war that it just became very loss of lives, loss of funding, and so forth, loss of money. And so if you really see what's also happening, a couple of people have asked about, the Indigenous rights, the government giving away land to Indigenous people in Canada. That's also happening in Australia. That's also happening in New Zealand. I think in New Zealand, there's also a high court battle around water rights. And so in Australia, if you watch my Australia video, I talked about how there can be claims against federal land by, the Indigenous. I can't remember how they did it. I'd have to sort of look back because I did a bit of research when I put that up. So I see the Albanese government is trying to phase out gas. And they're probably trying to do that in Canada as well. And I'm not sure what's happening in New Zealand. And they're trying to use the opportunity to introduce these policies to force people off the gas grid, off coal, and really force us to go green. And really, once they can get us under this Paris Agreement, fully under this Paris Agreement, you will see digital ID come in. You will see everything. Credit, what is it called? There's some kind of credit score system where, according to how you behave, you could be penalized and you could have funds frozen and not be able to access certain amenities and so forth. So it's they're trying to implement a totalitarian globalist state, and they are capitalizing on an opportunity. And with what they're trying to do is outfox Trump at every, and they're working in unison. There's a whole lot of them against the Trump administration because Trump is basically standing in the way of this rollout. And so you'll see, what I'm seeing is Trump is now forming alliances with countries that normally wouldn't have been considered. And it's the Latin countries, the South American countries, that are actually, and you will see that the South American people who were under these regimes will welcome these changes because everybody wants to have a better life, live a better life. And nobody wants to live under communist rule or cartel or terror of any sort. And so Trump and his administration, you will see. I also will make a prediction that there's going to be some kind of new alliance formed between Russia, Putin, and if it's not already happening, and it's to do with money and finances with Russia and the United States. And I don't know if it's going to do something to do with, I look to the left when I'm kind of seeing things, to do with, it could be rare earth minerals, but there's going to be some kind of agreement that they're going to go into. They're going to form a stronger alliance. Zelensky's also put a spanner in the works in relation to peace talks because obviously he's been puppeteered to not, they can't afford Ukraine and Russia to stop. They need to deplete Putin and Russia. They need to now deplete. They want America to become the new Ukraine and Russia, and America and Iran. And so really and to make it look like it's that Iran is still fighting so hard. Well, the truth is Iran's basically demolished. They have no leadership left. And I really don't believe that it's Iran controlling this. I believe that it's other people controlling it. Okay, so on that note, Let me go on to the questions and start answering your questions. I didn't get as many as I normally do, I think because I didn't put it up as a Q&A initially. Initially, it was meant to be a live where I was just channeling those 3 or 4 countries, and then I was just going to give some live predictions and just answer questions relating those 4 countries live. But it's turned out to be a Q&A, so there aren't as many questions. So looks like I may go through this a bit quicker. And because I'd taken notes and the information's flowing, I'm talking faster. Okay, let me bring up your questions and let's go through them if I could find them. Okay, so I've broken them up into different sections, different countries. There's the most questions I got were from Canada. There are a couple from Australia, one from New Zealand, then just a couple of general global questions. And I think I would like to start with New Zealand. Excuse me. Because I accidentally missed them out in my last Q&A, so I think I might start with them. And this is from Suzanne. Hi, Laura. Could you please give an update on New Zealand, the economy, the political and politics, and so forth? Okay. I remember last time with New Zealand, I wasn't getting a lot with New Zealand, and I feel like New Zealand's being kept very low key. But I feel like what's happening with New Zealand, there are things that are happening kind of behind the scenes. And I actually did take some notes as well. I did a bit of a brain dump because I read through the questions. So let me go to what I wrote about New Zealand. Sometimes I scribble notes and sometimes I just scribble as I'm doing brain dumps. Okay, New Zealand's Prime Minister Christopher Luxon. I know that there was a bit of controversy around him. He's not very popular. What I'm getting an image about New Zealand is I'm seeing impoverished peoples, but I'm seeing them amongst in the bigger cities. I'm seeing them amongst other people. And it's almost like people are walking past them and not even noticing them. And I'm not quite sure. I don't know if it's happening around Christchurch. Okay. Um, I just got my symbolism for an earthquake. Okay, so maybe what I was seeing with the images, because this is just now coming through, what I was seeing initially with the images with the homeless people, I feel that there's going to be an earthquake that's going to go through Christchurch. It's starting from the center and going out this way. So the epicenter is going to be more inland, going out. I see people are going to be displaced. And I feel that there's going to be a fracture to the party. I'm being told that there's going to be a fracture to the party around policy, the opposing parties, and there's going to be some kind of infighting. I feel like there's going to be a power grab, a power struggle, and a power grab within the own party. What's his name, this gentleman again? Christopher Luxon. He's not going to be ousted, but there's going to be some kind of power struggle. Or it could be from the opposing party. They're going to try to call for an early election. I feel there's going to be some kind of power grab happening within government. It's going to be interesting to see something unfold. What I mentioned earlier before about the water rights and the fight at the higher court, I'm getting that the Indigenous are going to win. I feel there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of corruption in New Zealand, in the government of New Zealand. and they don't really need to do much for the people at all. Things are just, I get the feeling things are just being left. Um, but I am seeing that the tech industry is going to grow for New Zealand. Technology, Auckland's going to do very well. Auckland's going to explode, but also too, I'm getting an explosion happening in Auckland as well. I don't know if there's going to be a power plant explosion or some kind of explosion happening in Auckland. I see it in either an industrial area or in the CBD. I see some form of explosion happening, and it's going to shake and rock the place. I'm going down south. There's going to be another earthquake further down south. So Christchurch, maybe around Wellington. I'm seeing it further out here. I don't know if it's further along, closer to the coastline. There's going to be it's going to be a minor earthquake. I don't know if it's simultaneous or around the bout, but I see the one in Christchurch is going to be bigger. The one in Wellington is going to be a smaller quake. But it's almost like people are just going to go about their daily activity. They're not going to be affected by it. I'm not sure if Wellington's prone to earthquakes, but I feel like they're comfortable with it happening. They're not going to be too concerned about it. I see rising waters. I'm getting South Islands. There's rising waters on the South Island, and I've gone straight up to the North Islands, and I see some kind of tidal wave coming in, and it could be because of some kind of activity out at sea. It could be some kind of earth tremor happening out at sea that's caused some kind of rising waters, almost like a wave or something being washed up to shore or something. Not like a tidal wave that is taking over, but I do see um, movement of water coming towards the land. I think that's all that I have for New Zealand. So thank you for your questions, Suzanne, and I hope that's helped answer some of your questions. Okay. I might just go to the general global question. Hi, Laura. Will direct energy weapons ever be stopped for use on humans? I just got no. They won't stop it. It's too powerful a tool to have and to keep and to control. And they will be using it as a way of control, of crowd control as well. You will see the introduction of some kind of weaponry where you won't need police to go out with crowds. You'll just have some kind of electromagnetic pulse that can almost just make people scatter. I know that that's already in place, but I wouldn't be surprised if that will come into usage. I feel more in Asia, perhaps China or something like that. They may be working on doing something like that. Okay, next question. Monkey C. Hi, Laura. I hope you're well. Yes, I am, and I hope you are, and everyone is too. Will all governments worldwide be overthrown by we the people standing up fighting revolution for freedom and sovereignty in the coming years? And will we the people achieve victory? If yes, when? Thank you for all the work that you do. Much appreciated. Thank you. So I'm getting a caution on how I have to answer this question, because if you have a look at what's happening concurrently around the globe, people are rising. I saw, people in Ireland, they're standing up saying, our Ireland, they don't want to lose their link to their history. It seems like history is being erased and a new type of order is going to be implemented, almost like we have no past and this is just the only future that we have. And what people are standing up and fighting for is the link to their ancestors and their history and to their land. And you see that happening. I see that what I've been seeing is it's happening in Spain, it's happening in Germany, it's happening in Ireland, it's happening in a lot of places. People are standing up, people are waking up, and there are people in government who don't like what's happening and they are feeling empowered to speak up um, because the current administration in the United States are the one who are taking all the punches. And so they're feeling a little empowered. And so the more united people come together, the more there is a chance. But there is, collectively we can do a lot as well. Not necessarily for protesting, peaceful protesting, I'd like to say. But there's a way also collectively what we can do. And, it may sound so cliche, but love and light really is a big thing. We are light beings. We are made up of light. And our heart is the biggest oscillator in our body that can actually expand up from 12 to 24 feet from our bodies. And we can collectively sit in meditation and prayer and pray for. Could you imagine within a 24-hour period that we did a collective meditation prayer, and there were thousands of people doing this, that it could actually shift. It could shift energetically, it can shift, but I also feel some things are predestined in terms of it's got to take its path for eventual change to happen, because there are a lot of people who still don't see all of this. They see that this type of talk is propaganda, and a lot of people may like the idea of, having government look after them and not have to work and, not have to own anything. But if you think about it, money's got to come from somewhere, and eventually, if there's nobody, it used to, from what I understood, took 6 taxpayers to pay for one person on welfare. If you stopped people earning an income and paying their taxes, then who's going to pay for the welfare? The government just can't print money. And so I just got that they're looking for the new COVID, and this energy is the new COVID. And this is the distraction. So awareness is key. So to answer your question, I feel we the people will be victorious. We the people around the globe who seek freedom, and not live under a totalitarian regime. I do feel in our lifetime democracy will prevail. It's already starting to. It's just not being reported accurately. But there's still a lot of underhandedness going on. And while certain governments are in power, they're taking the lead on how they influence policy in those countries. But in saying that, with Australia, you will see Pauline Hanson's One Nation will win enough seats in the upper and lower houses to basically control policy. And even if Labor wins at the next election, which I kind of feel they're just going to win by a nose, they're going to be controlled. And things can be reversed, but I feel they're trying to work swiftly and they're trying to keep her out of Parliament. So we'll see what happens there. Anyway, I digress. Let's move on to the next question. I hope that's answered your question, Monkey C. Okay, I'm highlighting the ones that I'm doing. I've put them on a Word document. Just it makes it a bit easier for me to manage. Next question. Can I do a video about the Middle East region? I've already done a video about the Middle East region. I've got more to do. I'm only one person. I don't come on all the time doing this every day. People can't get out of the UAE at the moment. Yeah, there's a lot happening in the UAE at the moment. I'm just getting that it's not going to be long lasting. This is from Karachi Buzz. It's not going to be long lasting with what's happening in the UAE. But the UAE are allies of the United States. And I don't think that they were expecting Iran. It must be something that they kind of set in place for this to happen, if anything were to happen to the leaders. But I also feel that this is actually greater than Iran, 100%. And there are people, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's our allies that are behind it, that are supporting behind the scenes. So, yeah, there's going to be more unrest in the region. There will be more unrest in the region. Oman, Saudi Arabia, like many other places, there will be unrest over the next few years. I will look at updating my Middle East video for you. Okay, linking Atlas. Let me just mark that one that I've done. Hello, linking Atlas. I'm curious about the current situation in the Middle East. Do you think UAE and Oman is better than Singapore or Malaysia? No, not at the moment. Not at the moment. I feel Singapore is in a really good pocket. I feel Singapore especially is going to be a very good place. If you're really looking to move, Singapore is definitely a place. I just got Malaysia, not so much. Don't know why. I'd be looking at Singapore before those other countries that you've stated here as well, Canada, USA. I feel like Singapore is just going to float above everything and they won't really be affected greatly by a lot of things. They're a strong economy and I feel like they're going to get stronger. They're a wealthy economy. Yeah. Okay. But I still see good things with UAE. There were just pockets of the UAE. I'm just getting Oman is dangerous or will be dangerous. Oman will be dangerous or become more dangerous. Okay. Jag Deep Singh. Okay. Hi, Laura. I'm waiting for the video on Australia. Okay. No specific questions. Curious to know what in general you see about its people, economy, not enemy, energy, weather events. And okay, I am going to be doing an update on Australia. But what I mentioned about what I feel the Albanese government's going to be doing with trying to phase out gas, shutting down our coal power plants. I feel the Albanese government is going to really try to go full steam ahead with the Paris Accord. They don't really have the funding to put in the infrastructure that's going to require the electrical grid to actually manage all of this. And so if they could kind of snooker us into having to change and fund our own electrical grids, but they'll do it with an incentive of maybe offering some kind of rebate or discount or so forth to do that, given the illusion that if we were to change, it would be cost effective in the long run. But by the time you actually could make up that money, if you are having to change your electrical grid in your home, you will find that it, yeah, if we lose gas here in Australia, we're going to have a lot of problems to do with the electrical grid. And in saying that, then everything else that comes with that, supply chain and so forth. I would encourage everybody to start just doing some prepping for yourselves, for your home, for your family, wherever you are in the world. There's an Aussie prepper channel that you can follow. There's some Canadian prepper channels, lots of US prepper channels, and they give some really invaluable advice. So I would encourage everybody to sort of start to protect yourself for hopefully that it never happens, but for the occasion that you may be affected by an electrical power grid failure, intermittent or longer term, or any type of disaster or emergency. I think it'd be really good to just, do that. Okay, and yes, I'll be doing another video soon. So I hope that's answered your question for now. Let's move ahead. Last Australia question. This is from MBGo7. Hi, Laura. Thank you very much for allowing us to post our questions. You're very welcome. My question revolves around superannuation policies in Australia. I just got they're going to be great. They're going to do very well. In fact, they're going to do very well. They're going to explode. I just got. I mean, like really increase. It's going to do well, increase in value. Will the government allow struggling families to access their superannuation? Yes. Due to high cost of living? Yes, they will. Yes, they will. With no tax implications, I think initially they will with no tax implications, but I feel they'll always weasel their way with something in the future. I'm getting possibly near future. But initially, yes. And will retirement age to access super funds decrease in the near future? You mean like the extended retirement age? If you're talking about accessing your super funds when you retire, what they may do is extend retirement age and make it a little bit more difficult in that regard. So if they're extending the retirement age, it reduces the amount that you could access. But in cases of what do you call it? Oh, sorry, I've gone blank. In cases of tough times, sorry about that. In cases of hardship is the word that I was looking for. In cases of hardship in that, I do feel that there will be that possibility. I feel what they're going to do is there's going to be a lot of incentives that they're going to offer as they're trying to implement the Paris Agreement with the Green New Deals and the electrical grid. And they're going to make these promises and they're going to give these incentives and it's going to open up the door and it's almost going to be a little hook, and then things will start to change. I do feel that they're going to extend the retirement age, which keeps people in the workforce longer, but which I think is a good thing. But if you're needing to access your funding, there may be an issue if they extend that age. Okay. Hope that's answered your question. And yes, I will be, one more time, I will be updating Australia. I'll have Australia Part 3 coming out soon. That's all for Australia, and let's now move on to Canada. This is from Sandra. Hi, Laura. Is there any blackmail held against Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, Canada? And will the province of Ontario get better under his leadership of the past 8 years? So Ontario, Where was Ontario? What did I see? Let me just bring something up. Now, I did predictions for Canada. That's Quebec. That's British Columbia. I want to see what I'd written about Doug Ford and see if I still feel the same. Ontario, let's have a look. The next election is June 7th, 2029 for Ontario. The last election was held in February 2025. Let me just see what I wrote here. Of the 4 provinces listed, I feel that Ontario is the most problematic province with the most problematic premier. I feel Doug Ford is marred in corruption claims, particularly around the last election. Okay, this is what I wrote for my predictions for Canada 2025 to 2030, and that was done 4 months ago. Let me just see what else I wrote, and I'll just see what else I get. Because I kind of want to put a link to see if I still feel the same thing or if I feel it's kind of evolved from that. Ford's attempt to manipulate the upcoming 2026 US midterm. Oh, that's the gentleman. Okay. Now I'm connecting it. With his $75 million anti-tariff campaign backfired on him. Okay. That's what happened there. Ford will also be accused of some type of election interference by the Trump administration. Okay. That's sort of passed. Although Trump will not overly be concerned. Okay. What am I seeing? Sorry, I'm just going through my slide. Okay, I don't say specifically. He's going to lose at the next election. He's going to lose. If he's been around there for 8 years, he's going to lose. That next election, I said the election was going to be in June 7th, 2029 for Ontario. He's going to lose. He's not going to continue on. He'll continue to be marred with, there's going to be an accusation come forward. I feel about a woman. A woman's going to come forward with some kind of accusation against him. I don't know what it's in relation to, but it's not going to do very well. I'm kind of getting he's almost going to be forced into hiding. So that could be almost like he might be forced out. Just while I'm thinking about this also too, I just got, and it's not with Doug Ford, it's with Alberta, Danielle Steele. There might be some health issues that arise with her. Seeing something, some kind of health issue. I don't know if it's a cancer scare or something. She'll be okay, but there may be, I don't know if it's going to be a leak or some report about some health scare for her. And so I hope not. I hope that that's not going to happen, but that's what just came in while I was reading about this. Okay, what else did your question ask? Sorry, where am I? So will it get better under his leadership? No, it won't until he leaves. It won't get better, but what will get better is people are going to become wise to him, wake up to him, and not tolerate him. And then there'll be more accusations coming forward. There's going to be more than one accusation. I don't know what about, but I see there's a female that's going to come forward with some form of accusation. I don't know whether it's around corruption, whether it's around something different. But I feel there's going to be more than one claim against him. And I feel like I just got that he's going to need to go and hide. So he may need to withdraw. And the next person, if they bring in somebody, it's not going to force an early election, but if they bring in somebody, they will just kind of keep the status quo. I feel if somebody else does come in, I feel if somebody else comes in, it could actually be female as well. Unless, I'm not quite sure here, unless it's the next woman who wins from the opposing party might be female. I'll be curious to sort of go deeper into it. These are just like mini readings. So I hope this answered your question for now, but people are waking up, people are standing up, and things are being exposed. It's just a matter of time for it to unfold. This is from Jojo. Hi, Laura. Uh, it feels like Mark Carney is still working like he's in the government of the Bank of England. Yeah. And the EU spokesperson rolling out an agenda. Uh, is Trump onto Carney, or how will he be exposed in due time? I can't feel he's still somehow connected to the UK and doesn't care about anyone but himself. Will Carney be pressured to cave and let Alberta start more new pipelines and with oil reserves much needed oil supply and more for the world? Okay, so let's go one thing at a time. Um, I do feel, I feel your feeling about him and his connection to the government of the Bank of England. I do feel the Bank of England is all part of that British government, and I do feel the feeling that I'm getting is almost like Carney was a plant. So was Trudeau, to be honest, but Carney is more sophisticated in not flamboyant. Trudeau was more flamboyant. Carney's more sophisticated and silent. I feel sometimes more silent and more deadly, more dangerous. You know those dangerous dogs. They don't yap, they don't bark, but they're very dangerous. I feel Carney can actually do more damage. I feel, yeah, and I feel he's been put there for a reason. 100% Trump knows exactly who Carney is, knows exactly what's happening between this British, there is a battle between Imperial Britain and the United States Trump administration. And you and Britain is losing. And in order to divert, they need to cause chaos through all their proxies. The Ukraine-Russia war is a proxy. The Iran funding of Iran is a proxy. And all these little things that are happening with Commonwealth countries like Canada, New Zealand, and Australia, and all these land rights. These are all things to kind of take away the sovereignty of the people, to be able to sort of usher in this totalitarian control. And it even goes deeper than that. I feel there is a very strong connection to China, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, will Carney be pressured to cave and let Alberta start new pipelines? I just got yes. Alberta's going to do very well with oil. Carney and his government, Carney's enough to know how to keep the peace while they work at other things. But nothing's for free. So it could be a nice diversion, a nice distraction to make them look appealing. But yeah, Alberta will start to move with pipelines. But there will be some kind of challenge, Indigenous challenge to do with land rights there. I don't know whether they do fracking or something like that, but there's going to be some kind of challenge to do with that type of work on the land versus Indigenous ownership of the land and what they're going to allow to happen. And I feel like there's going to be some high court decisions being made, whether you have a high court in Canada or Supreme Court, but there's things going to the high court as well. And if you're gaining enough signatures for the petition and for the referendum that's coming up in October, even though there are a lot of people who actually want to support seceding, for Alberta to secede from Canada, I feel it's not going to happen. There's just going to be too much battle happening. Yeah. Oil's going to start coming back into play, but not before they cause disruption. People are just going to have to become so uncomfortable where they protest, and where they're uncomfortable and where they're unfortunately suffering more for that. So once again, I'm kind of getting that it will be good to sort of start to do some prepping around the home, just to sort of keep yourselves, so you're not panicked if things, did dip for you for the cities or countries where you live. Hope that's answered your question, Jojo. Okay, let's see what we have next. This is from MTV New. Okay. Hi, Laura. Canada Human Rights posted a report today that Canada is facing a human rights crisis. We need help. Mark Carney is destroying us. The mainstream media is paid by Carney's government, is covering it up. They are starting to censor what we can say on live stream. The polling companies are paid by the Carney government. So all the polls show Canadians is that Liberal government is leading in the polls all the time. Can you please do a reading? Canada needs Pierre Poilievre from the Conservative Party to win. Canada is in bad shape. Kindly consider doing a reading for us. Okay. I'll tell you what I recently saw. I saw it, I think it was a post on X. The Canadian police showed up at this woman's house because she posted something online, and she was disputing it, saying, you're threatening to arrest me because I don't like my Prime Minister. I feel what's happening there is going to start happening with more Commonwealth countries. Australia's introduced some hate speech laws as a result of what happened at Bondi Beach with those two shooters that killed 15 people there at Bondi Beach. They've got it down as hate speech laws, anti-Semitism and so forth, but it actually is going beyond that. And I do feel that they will try to control what's being said against the government. And that is also, I can see happening in Canada, possibly New Zealand, definitely in Britain. And yeah, and you see it happening in America, that, you have the leftist media who very much protects and does slant it in a way that gives people who are dedicated to watching those channels the belief that everything is okay, that there's not an issue, or there is an issue when there's not an issue. I'm being shown, just keep doing what you're doing, just be mindful of how you speak, and I need to be mindful too of how I speak as well. And I do need to preface this with, these are just my feelings. These are just my feelings, my opinions. I'm not stating these as, I'm reading factual information that's out there, and I'm basing my feelings on the information that I'm reading in terms of what I feel will unfold in predictions. In terms of the reporting that are there protecting and giving misreporting in terms of polling, people are becoming aware of it. More voices need to be out there speaking the truth. Okay, what I'm being shown is, don't be governed by fear. Speak fact. Don't make it personal. Don't be governed by fear. And keep the information going out. Pierre has shifted his strategy. Pierre has come in very smart, and I see a lot of traction and strength coming in with Pierre and his administration, his forming administration. I feel like there's been some changes, and he's going to continue to make some changes. I feel like in America, the GOP, they call them, there are some people that they call rhinos, Republicans in name only. That's the acronym. I feel that the same is happening there in Canada, and I believe here as well in Australia. that either people are beholden to the opposite party or being corrupted somehow, that they do surrender their votes to vote with, and that's how they pass policy. That's how they're able to actually stay in government, and avoid snap elections. Excuse me. Um, but what's going to happen in the United States, the Trump administration, there's going to start to be, they're just trying to get their ducks in a row. They're, dotting of the I's, crossing of the T's, their ducks in a row in terms of doing things properly. And then they're going to start to go out after the misreporting, but they don't want to look like they're trying to shut down free speech, but they're going to start to either re-implement policies that stops propaganda, because there was a law after World War that came at that they introduced in America that actually it was forbidden to actually promote propaganda and through news. And under Barack Obama, he removed that law. Um, and but it's still a law that's there, and I feel that that will be reintroduced when the time is right. And there are too many other things happening, too many balls in the air that need attention. And sometimes you have to let it play out for people to see, because if you try to put a stop on it too soon, it will look like you're trying to suppress it. I'm speaking for the Trump administration when I'm saying this. Um, and so the Trump administration's got to allow the unfolding of people such as all of us who are starting to see things from a different perspective for what they really are. And more people are waking up. And the only way they're going to wake up is by seeing the reports, having other people speak about it. They may initially feel the other people speaking about it are propagandists as well. But when it starts to affect their livelihood and how comfortable they are in living and realizing that they've kind of been walking around in a slumber, that's when change is going to be forced. And unfortunately, collectively, we need more people to wake up. And we just have to keep on being that voice that speaks. Um, and so I do see Pierre is actually keeping his card close to his chest. I actually feel he's in talks with the Trump administration, to be honest. Um, I feel like he's in talks with the Trump administration, but it's low key, behind the scenes. They are playing strategy now, and they want to give the impression that the others possibly are in power, but they are building some kind of momentum. And I feel there's going to be a change in their cabinet, the cabinet that's currently supporting Pierre and his cabinet. I feel that there's going to be some changes because I feel there are leaks. I feel like there are people who are disloyal and maybe even not necessarily saboteurs, but possibly. And there's going to be some changes happening there. And it's going to start to come out more as it gets closer to the election. It just has to keep on unfolding. You just got to have faith. You've just got to keep on moving forward. I do see things changing, but it's going to be the next few years that are going to be very precarious in some places. So that's why we need to sort of really keep a community going, keep communication going, protect ourselves, do the right thing, be respectful, be peaceful, and always come from a place of love, kindness, and respect. Because I really do believe collectively we are very powerful. We are very powerful collectively, and a prayer can go a long way, and a collective prayer can do amazing things. Perhaps we need to do a meditation circle. Anyway, just a thought. I hope this answered your question for now, and I do feel I, I probably should do another update on Canada as well. There are a lot of people from Canada who actually follow me, and I'm very grateful. So I do feel you're looking for guidance, and I'll try my best to sort of do another one. Okay, another question for Canada from Kevin. Can you predict US, UK, Canada economy? Will it be what will it be in 2029 to 2032? In addition, can you predict roughly how the US stock market will fare from 2026 to 2033? And if 2026 is going to be a bad year? Honestly, I feel this is where, going back to the previous question by MTV, I actually feel it's not being reported how well things are doing. So don't be misguided by thinking things aren't doing well. Um, in, I feel that the economy's doing better in the US. And if the US economy is doing better, you will find that globally things will do better. So if there's disruptions that are happening, it's happening from within the countries as well. Um, I feel US will have a dip, particularly maybe around, I'm getting July, August, there may be some dip. I just feel like there's going to be some kind of almost like a temporary crash. I don't know where that's coming from. I feel like I need to do another USA update. I haven't done one in a while. Um, and just while I'm on this subject, it's coming to me and I've just got to say it. And so I will, divert with the question and come back to it. But what I'm seeing, um, I had, while I was drifting to sleep the other night, a few things came to me and they've just come back to me again. Hakeem Jeffries is going to lose. He's either going to lose his seat or he's going to lose being minority um, leader. Um, I woke at around 2 o'clock in the morning. I woke with some visions, and Hakeem Jeffries' face was distorted. Half of it was distorted, and I feel he's going to lose face. He's going to there's going to be something come back onto him, and he may have to be he may lose a seat or forced to back away. There's going to be some controversy around him. Also, something around Bill Gates. I'm getting something about criminal activity. There's going to be criminal prosecutions with Bill Gates. And I'm getting something around Australia and the banana industry and Bill Gates. Now, I know that Bill Gates had invested, and I need to look into it because I'd seen it and read it in passing some time ago, that Bill Gates had talked about putting vaccines in bananas. And I think it had something to do with Queensland bananas, the Cavendish bananas. I don't know. I'm going to actually look into that because it's coming to me and I feel I need to kind of understand it. But I feel there's going to be some severe backlash to Bill Gates. I feel like he's going to be almost the Prince Andrew in terms of controversy. I don't know whether it's going to be around Mr. E and his island, but I also feel around criminal activity as well. There's going to be possibly, yeah, he's in trouble. Mr. Bill Gates is what I'm feeling. It's my feeling, um, and I could be wrong. My feelings could be wrong. I just got there may be an assassination attempt against Marco Rubio. May God bless him and keep him safe. He'll be okay. Now, it appears that Marco Rubio is gaining traction and he seems to be quite popular. And it seems like JD Vance seems to be almost like his light bulb is becoming dim, but he just needs to stay safe, stay quiet in case he needs to step up and take the top job. He can't become a target, and so he needs to play it low key and just do what he needs to do, and he does a lot. But his light will shine again, and there will be a powerful team come forward. There's going to be something around Charlie Kirk and his memory, some kind of commemorative, some kind of, not a Stedford, some kind of event. I see people standing on stage and singing. There's something that's going to be coming up. It could be for his anniversary, death anniversary, or something. And there's going to be an announcement around that. Yeah. What else am I getting? That just sort of came in as because you'd mentioned the US. I just got the Canadian stock market's going to soar. It soar temporarily, but there's going to be some kind of growth in the Canadian stock market. What's that around? Something to do with this, what share prices? I think gold's going to increase. Gold's going to increase in price. The last I looked, it was $7,200 Australian dollars per ounce. Gold's going to increase. Silver's going to increase. Lithium, I'm getting lithium. Lithium, something around lithium batteries. Now, I don't know if the symbolism is it going to be an explosion or it will explode in terms of growth. Okay. US stock market will fare. There will be a dip. There's going to be an attempt to undermine the US stock market. But Trump has an amazing team. They've got brilliant minds, financial minds, and they're able to outfox the saboteurs constantly. And all we have to do is pray that America's dollar stays strong. The fact that Russia said that they're not going to use BRICS anymore, that they're going to start to go back to US currency. So things to look out for is an alliance between Russia and the US, an alliance through some South American countries. The gentleman, what's his name? What country is he from? El Salvador, I think it was. What's he? Let me just quickly have a look. I'm getting something about him. Nayib, what's his name? Bukele or something? Um, Bukele. Nayib Bukele, where is he from again? Um, sorry. El Salvador. They're going to have some amazing financial growth happening. And he's got some negotiations going on with Trump as well. He's a very strong ally for Trump. Very, very strong ally and a very good ear as well. I feel him and Trump speak often. I'm getting something about the investment market in South America is going to start to take off. I don't know what they're going to be investing in, but something about I feel that Trump is changing the face of the world global map. And when I say the face in terms of what we've known it to be these past decades and these alliances and these allegiances to these countries, but really they don't have the, our best interest at heart collectively. And Trump is redesigning the world map. And there's a lot of resistance. There's going to continue to be a lot of resistance. If they can create chaos, doesn't matter how we're affected by that chaos, in order to have him fail his agenda, they will do that. And so what I'm seeing is there's going to be some stock market shifts. And so it's just coming to me right now. And remember, it's just a feeling. And I'm not infallible, I could be wrong. But I'm getting that the South American market and investing in some kind of South American, something's going to be rising there. Something around Bukele from El Salvador, something around, there's something, I'm getting a really strong feeling about it. Something's going to take off and take off well. And there's going to be a shift. If he can create alliances and create wealth in the Americas, it's almost going to take over the European Union. I see a financial collapse. People are going to start, like rats off a ship, are going to start to get out of the European Union. There are people who are very strong supporters of the Trump administration and have been almost, can I use the word trapped, perhaps, in an unhappy marriage as part of the European Union, and now there's a way out for them. And you will see that that will expand. Keep an eye out for Greece. You keep an eye out for Greece. I feel Italy's good. Italy's a strong supporter of Trump, but I feel she runs with the foxes and chases with the hounds as well. A little bit. I feel she plays politics well. She's a strong supporter for Trump, but I feel she plays politics well. But I feel Greece is not afraid to sort of stand up with their head above the crowd. They had a financial collapse. They've got different views. They actually want to be a power player. And I've just got that they want to bring back the Olympics to, like, to own the Olympics again. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if the Olympics will be heading back there, but just something around that. Brussels is done. The power that Brussels have with the European Union and this Ursula van whatever her name is, she's in trouble. She's in trouble. Um, but I see that she'll have a replacement. She's not going to last. And it's not, I feel like it's going to be a male. He's going to be a quiet. I feel like he's going to be a European version of Mark Carney. So not much better. Um, but he's not going to be so much of a warmonger outwardly. The power is going to shift away from the European Union, and the Americas are going to grow quite powerful, and some Asian nations and some parts, and Asia, Russia's in Asia as well. Isn't that right? Globally, yeah, in the map. Yeah. Okay, let me move on. I hope that that was okay, that I just kind of just went with what I was feeling. So I hope that's answered your question, Kevin. Um, okay, Orion. Um, I was looking forward to your live stream. Thank you. I know that you said you were going to attend, so I'm sorry, but I will do one in the future. It's just not going to be a priority now. I was hoping to try to get information out there faster by just seeing if I can try to do lives, to just come on board if when I have feelings to just sort of do them live. But I think it's just going to take a little bit of me organizing myself to do that. Um, what's the question? I'm always interested in knowing about Canada. Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, is flying around the world, and the only one benefiting is him and his company, Brookfield. I just got Brookfield's going to be in trouble, going to be exposed for something, going to be in trouble. On April the 13th, there's going to be 3 by-elections. Carney needs 2 seats for his majority. Do you see him getting it? I just got yes. He's basically got the Canadian version of rhinos, and but he's just going to creep it through. I'm seeing that there's some backfighting happening there, but I feel he's got the voice of reason so he can settle nervous and make things calm. I feel he's got this approach about him that he can kind of bring it back. I hear some of his party members are getting a bit annoyed with him. Oh, okay, there you go. Can you see some leaving. I got not immediately, but they will. Yeah, not immediately, but they will. I'm seeing that there's two in particular, and I feel that I'm getting the word friction between them, and I feel it's going to become public, unless it's already happened. Um, I feel like there's going to be almost like a public, not an argument, but a public debate of some sort over something, or two people are going to come forward and make a public announcement of disagreeing. I'm not sure if I've worded that the right way. What am I trying to say here? They're not going to disagree. They're going to state they don't fully support, but they support. There's going to be something that they say, maybe publicly, to maybe try to mitigate some long-term damage they may do to themselves. It may just be to clean their own face so they don't get backlash for it. It may be more political for their own benefit rather than go against him. And I'm seeing two people, two males. I do see there's a woman around. I see there's a female around that gives him grief, gives Mark Carney grief. I don't know if it's the lady from Alberta or if there's another woman, but I see that there's a woman around Mark Carney that gives him grief, and she argues with him a lot, or she disagrees with him a lot. I'm just getting argue. So yeah, enlighten me if you know of anything. Um, so on April 13th, there's going to be three by-elections, and he needs 2 seats for his majority. Yeah, I see him getting 2 seats. I see him getting 2 seats. He may lose 1 seat, but I see him getting 2 seats. I just see him scraping through. He's not destined to leave so quickly. This is destined to play out a little bit, unfortunately. I hope this answered your question, Orion. Okay, let's move on. Curiosity nudge. What's the future of Canadian tech and IT industry? Will they be open to hiring people outside Canada, like South Asia, for roles in the digital marketing area? Will Canadian government be open to friendly towards immigrants, and will allow new visas, especially for people looking to immigrate to Canada on working visa from countries like Pakistan? Precautions and guidance for immigrants. This is more of a personal. I'm going to curiosity nudge. This is more of a personal question for yourself that you're considering. I might get you to ask that again at the next Q&A. Yeah. Okay. So this is the last question. Hi, Laura. Please try to make a recording regarding Canada. Mark Carney got another MP to the Liberal caucus. So if they win 2 of the 3 by-election schedules by mid-April, he will get a majority government. In total, 4 MPs have crossed the Liberal Party, appalling. On the other hand, in British Columbia, there are many problems with First Nation natives. The government is giving them control over some land. Where's that? British Columbia? Okay. British Columbia is Vancouver. Ontario is Toronto. Alberta is Calgary. I'm remembering. The government is giving them control over land, and it's getting worse. Do you still see David Eby being re-elected as Premier of British Columbia, despite all the problems with the land? Will Canada resist another 3 years of Liberal government? We are on the edge of a disaster. Let me just see. I want to bring that up, my predictions. Who was that again? David Eby. British Columbia. This is what I predicted. This is my slide that I'm bringing up again. So the next election for British Columbia is the 21st of October 2028. And the last election was held on the 19th of October 2024. Okay, let's just see. I feel that David Eby will win another term as Premier for British Columbia despite very high migration rates, rising crime, and a weak economy. I feel that the majority of constituents are fairly complacent in this region, regardless of rising concerns. I still feel this to be true. Sorry, maybe I should have shared my screen. I've got to do better. I've got to be technologically better to make it easier for you guys. Yeah, I still feel that to be true. Let me just, sometimes I just reread questions to get a feeling as I'm reading the question. That's why I slow down the way I read it, because I'm trying to get a feeling of it, not just reading it. So Mark Carney has another MP to the Liberal caucus. Okay. I do feel that they will win this mid-April. They're going to lose something though. They will win enough to get them through, but they're going to lose something. On the other hand, British Columbia, there are many problems with First Nations. What I talked about before, I see that happening in Australia with the land rights, and I see that happening in New Zealand, also with the water rights. And I see there's going to be some issues and dramas around, yeah, that will continue around land rights and oil and gas, although that will do well. Yeah, I've got to be careful how I word things. The government has given them control. Do you see David Eby being re-elected as British Columbia? I just got yes, but he'll just make it. So people are wising up. I don't see him lasting. He may make it, but I don't see him lasting. I don't know how your government works there. I feel like there's going to be an election, and then there's going to be another election soon after for British Columbia. What am I seeing? Or maybe it's for somewhere else. I just got British Columbia is going to have two elections. I don't understand that. They're going to have one election. I don't know if there's going to be decrying of fraud or some kind of something wasn't done properly. I don't know, but I see two elections close. I don't know how or why, but that's what I'm seeing. He may scrape into the first one, but if there is a second election, he'll lose that. And I feel like it's close. Yeah, I understand you're on the edge of a disaster, uncontrollable immigration, collapsing healthcare. I just got that it's going to get worse before it gets better, unfortunately. And that's why you've got to do things, to sort of start protecting yourself and your families and just yeah. I do see a change. I feel after 2028 there will be changes. Yeah. But I will do another video on that to go into more detail. So I hope that's answered your question. That's the last of it. Yeah, I've kind of, that's the last of it. So thank you for listening. Thank you if you've been watched to the end. Thank you for watching. And I will be seeing you soon. Have a wonderful upcoming weekend. Bye for now, and God bless.